So now today we're going to dive into the world of the movie, The Adjustment Bureau. This is a movie that challenges our understanding about free will, destiny, and the unseen forces that may be guiding our lives. But what if I told you that there is more to this than it just being a story, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look into this movie and uncover the Gnostic and metaphysical themes that are outlined all throughout this movie. And so that way you can realize that these aren't just movies. These aren't just this movie is not just a narrative, but it's more of a reflection of our own spiritual quest. So I want you to think about it like this. What if one day you came to the realization that every decision that you ever made, all the twists and turns, the slips, the falls, the rises, all of it, everything that was happening in your life, that it wasn't because of you and your choices? What if the reality that you lived in and the choices that you believe that you're making, what if it is all a part of some carefully constructed illusion? Now, this movie, The Adjustment Bureau, puts the very nature of that plot line in this movie. But what if I told you that it's not just a movie? That's why there are so many movies with this theme. The Truman Show, The Matrix. What if I told you that this isn't just a narrative? What if it's actually telling you about the nature of of your reality? What if it's just a modern version of the same ancient Gnostic teachings that pretty much explain to you all about the shadow forces, or what it is that is hidden behind the curtain that is working tirelessly to keep you trapped in a world of illusion? What if it's working to prevent you from being able to discover your truest potential? That's what all of those movies allude to. The Matrix, The Truman Show. It's so many others. That's what the metaphysical theme is that is trying to show you. So I stated before, the movie The Adjustment Bureau, it came out in about 2011. 2011. Pretty good cast, main character Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, you got Anthony Mackie. So it's pretty solid movie. And this movie is based on a short story called Adjustment Team. Now, some of the things around this movie got to do with fate, free will, the nature of your reality, as well as love helping you transcend. So we get David. Now, David is our main character, played by Matt Damon. Now, I'm always about looking into the main character name. That's a major part of the storyline. It has a lot to do with it. And we look at the names like this in the story because it usually attributes to the very theme of the movie. So David means beloved, or from love, or of love, right? Now in this movie, when we look at the fate versus free will, for example, we have the idea of what's called a predetermined destiny. Now the predetermined destiny is what the Adjustment Bureau pretty much represents. So they are a force that controls the fate of individuals. Now that would imply that people's lives are already written. They are already mapped out by a higher power, or as we've heard, God's plan. If you rather that be the means of that higher power, if that's how you like to name it. So this brings along the concept of cultural or social concept of the idea of a deterministic universe, where everything happens according to a predetermined or preordained script, i.e., the world is a stage, which is why your character is often brought into question when you are given certain positions of authority, as we see of David, who is attempting to become a senator. But he was denied this position of authority based on the revealing of some incident that happened some years prior. I think he mooned somebody or something like that. I don't know. So in the opening or the beginning of the movie, We see David on his path. We see him set on his predetermined destiny or his predetermined journey of a rising politician. And in the beginning, he is winning. He's like a clear winner until this incident is brought up and his credibility or his character is brought into question. So now he loses, right? He loses, but he was supposed to lose. So David loses not because he's not supposed to be senator, but because he's supposed to lose at that particular moment in time. Because when he loses, it sets also a course of choices that leads him to meeting the woman Elise. And him meeting her led to a transformation in his perspective, and she inspired him. And when she inspired him, he wrote the greatest speech that he ever could have written. He went completely off script, and he was inspired to create something even better because of that interaction with Elise, because that was what was supposed to happen. That was his predetermined path and journey. But what we learn in the movie is he was never supposed to see her again, because that will lead to him experiencing something that we know to be as love, that lead him completely off course of how the shadow people want him to be, his predetermined destiny, or that which he is supposed to be trapped in, locked into this particular character. Just like Neo was locked and stuck into being Thomas Anderson or Mr. Anderson, until he came to the realization of who and what he truly was, meaning he was the one, right? And the one is simply pointing to becoming aware. It's talking about a transition. It's talking about a transformation into something beyond what you are kind of set in or locked in to be. That's what your natal chart is. Your natal chart is telling you what you are preordained or how you are cosmically wired to be. It is describing to you your character in this particular stage play. So that's why the world is a stage. When things happen with people and we start to have a conversation, we ask them, why are you acting this way? Right? Because we are characters in a sense. We wear masks, right? And it's all an illusion of choice. They told us this in the Matrix. It's an illusion of a choice. It's not really a choice. You think you got a choice, but it's not really a choice. You know what I mean?
Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
So think of being the one as, it's almost like the protagonist of the movie, because the protagonist is who it's about. We're seeing from this person's perspective. So you are the one in your story. You are the leading role. So in this movie, David is the protagonist. David Norris is his name. He's the protagonist, and he is struggling against this deterministic force that is symbolizing human desire for free will. See, his actions challenge the idea that his life is completely controlled by some external forces, raising questions about whether individuals have the capability of shaping their own destiny. And you do that by being the one. You understand? So when you go against the powers that be, when you resist, when you go against that system, that structure, then that means you are the one. You know, you are the Christ of your story. Your life is a Bible, and you are the Christ of that Bible. So whatever happens and occurs in your life, that is everything that is leading you to the elevation or the ascension of what it is, who or what it is that you truly are. Whether it happens in this in one particular lifetime. Now that's another question that that has its metaphysical roots and having to do with the spiritual journey. But that's a whole nother thing, right? So David, that's what David represents in opposition to the predetermined destiny, which is represented by the Adjustment Bureau.